हरि ओम. Deepa Bhagini, you can chant.
हरि ओम भगिनी, धन्यवाद.
हरि
ओम. पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्. नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरम् हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानम् मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. हरि ओम.
हरि ओम. धन्यवाद. नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्र पराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्द योगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमतास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरुं सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। परं वरिष्ठं ब्रह्मिष्ठं परमानन्दरूपिणं परमार्थानन्दयतिं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। I request all of you to chant the Guru Parampara shloka, at least we will get by heart. So you can chant along with me when I do it. Anyway, you're on mute, so please make it a practice to chant so that we can all get by heart. So, Lord Krishna is talking about Daivi Sampat and Asuri Sampat. First, he discussed Daivi Sampat in the first 3 verses, mentioning a set of virtues which are very conducive for spiritual growth. And now he is talking about Asuri Sampat elaborately, by which the Lord means a materialistic tendency, right? Because of which a human being accepts only 2 goals of human life. While the scriptures clearly mention the 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, the materialistic person doesn't even turn towards Dharma or Moksha. They are also committed only to Artha, that is wealth, and Kama, which is sense pleasures, right? So that there are 4 goals. There are higher goals in life, right? Either unfortunately they don't come to it because they are unaware, or they are aware but they don't bother about it, right? So it is sometimes the materialistic people, they do not have any respect for the scriptures. Therefore, they reject the scriptures, and naturally, once dharma is gone, moksha is automatically gone. Religion is gone, spirituality is gone, and that is why Shraddha in the scriptures is considered to be extremely important for a human being, either because of, say, wrong parentage, or the parent themselves have no values, or because of which the children don't have, or it can also be that the parents have values but the children do not have these values as they grow up because of some purva janma asura samskara, right? So because of purva janma papam, even though the parents have got value, somehow the children are not able to accept it. They will question everything and anything, any existence of God, scriptures, etc., right? Whatever be the case, net result is they don't have belief, Shraddha, and therefore, as a result of which, Dharma as a goal is literally non-existent. And then where is the question of moksha, right? So Lord Krishna talks about the mindset of these kind of people. The first thing is they want to do everything based on their instinctive raga, dvesha, me, mine. My likes, my dislikes, that's all. Whatever I like to do, I will do. Whatever I don't like to do, I will not do. Thus, they are governed by instinctive raga dvesha or likes and dislikes, right? And they gather raga dvesha from other materialistic people also. Acquired raga dvesha, right? So our scriptures clearly point out that up to a certain age, Our Raga Dvesha likes and dislikes are governed by our Purva Janma, right? So, but beyond that, what happens is we are influenced by other people also, right? Especially after say 8 years, 9 years, etc. Right? So, if it is governed primarily by dharma and adharma, and which is based on the Shastra, then it is good. But there is also a chance that we get influenced by other people at that stage. So, Krishna clearly says in the Gita, right? We saw this in the 3rd chapter, in the 34th verse. He says, Indriyasyendriyas syarte ragadvesho vyavastitau tayorna vashamagache tau hyasya paripantino. We will all have likes and dislikes. The mind will demand many things, but never succumb to the demand of the mind, right? So thus the enslaving ragadvesha is paripantino, right? An obstacle to spiritual growth. So respect your passion, but don't get enslaved by your passion. Learn to say no where you have to say no, right? So before implementing the mental whims and fancies, ask the question, can I implement this? Is it good for the family, the society, the creation, and of course, myself, right? So basically we have a lot of these awareness programs regarding healthy food, junk food, etc. This is basically an awareness about what is dharmic and what is adharmic. Healthy spirituality, or you can say health-wise, healthy spiritual practices, right? So basically the spiritual practices help us take care of not only the physical health, the mental health, and also a much higher adrishta phalam, which is in the form of punyam, right? So therefore ragadvesha will demand, but I have to filter. Like I cannot just do something because I have the desire to do something, right? So even eating food, right? The scriptures talks about how it should be restricted, speaking how it should be restricted, etc. We're going to see more about it in 17th chapter also. So the day should start appropriately with prayers, puja, sandhya vandanam, right, etc. And there should be self-restraint based on governed by dharma and adharma and not succumbing to ragadvesha pressures. So Lord Krishna says the materialistic people don't believe in any one of them. They will only laugh at those people who are following this, saying, oh, they are all oldies. How many people ask, if you are young, why are you going to Gita classes, right? As if it's a papam to go to Gita classes when you are young. You learn so much and you can implement so much from it, right? So, in the name of being progressive, a lot of things are changing in the society around us, right? So, once you let loose our habits and the desires and the sense organ, very difficult to control them later. So Krishna strongly criticizes those human beings who live the life of an animal. Why animal? Because animals don't need self-restraint. When a dog feels like barking, it need not look at the watch and say, oh, it's beyond 10 p.m. so I cannot bark, right? Or some classes are going on, so I should not bark, etc. They need not think. It can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, wherever it wants. You see the dogs on the road, etc. Right? Now, if I am going to live a life like that based on my whims and fancies, then it is a terrible waste of a precious human life if I miss, what I can do to achieve liberation in this current janma, right? I don't even know when I will get a human birth again. If I lead an animalistic life, in spite of the discrimination Bhagavan has, given us, right, the buddhi, then we might decide, Bhagavan, that giving human birth is of no use. So let him or her be an animal, right? Pashutaiva varam neyam pratyavaya apravartanat. So you can lead an animalistic life without fear of pratyavaya papam. Hence, Bhagavan will give only animal birth to such animalistic people. And initially, what happens is our conscience will question us whenever we are going according to our raga dvesha, right, without taking into account right and wrong. When we violate, right, initially the mind will definitely prick. And if we become alert and listen to the conscience, we can turn around. But there are many people because of wrong company. Satsangatve nisangatvam dusanga, right? Dusanga is there and they will only encourage, don't worry about these things. Nothing wrong, just do it, right? Because of the encouragement of the dusanga, the conscience pricking, right? That itself is suppressed, right? And it will not function. And Krishna was describing such characters. A caricature was basically being presented, and we completed the 11th shloka in the last class. So this is the shloka that we completed. Let us continue with the 12th shloka. आशापाशशतैर्बद्धाः कामक्रोधपरायणाः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसञ्चयान्. Now, materialistic desires include attachment also. Right? Desire is our attitude towards an object before we acquire them, because I think that that object can give me permanent joy, right? So because of that, I crave for that object, and that is called desire. After acquiring them, then I try to hold on to that, thinking that it will be permanently there with me. When I hold on to an acquired object, it is called attachment. So desire is before acquisition, whatever we have towards an unacquired object. Attachment is after acquisition with regard to the acquired object. And Veda tells another disturbing news, right? It gives another information that attachment is not only to the things, but attachment to the family members is also Asuri Sampat. A very shocking thing it reveals. Even though we should love and care for family members, I've got duty to raise the children and get them settled, etc. Veda wants, don't get attached to them. Use the family life to serve, grow, and grow out of them. Remember the ultimate goal of sannyasa, right? Not the external sannyasa, the internal sannyasa, right? It is, I should drop attachment to even the people. Because the whole Gita started because of what? Arjuna's attachment, right? He started with Swajanam hi katam hatva. How can I kill my own relatives? They are my people, right? And because of raga alone, shoka and moha follow, right? We saw that in very great detail in the first chapter, right? Almost now 2+ years or third year going now. Shoka and moha, right? Raga, and because of that the shoka, and then moha, grief and delusion come because of attachment. So loving is wonderful, caring is wonderful. We should remember no relationship is shashvatam or permanent, right? So what happens is, we know everyone will have to go. We don't even want to think about it, right? And we don't want to prepare our mind, right? Intelligence is preparing the mind for disassociation also. Sometimes when Swamiji says there's nothing wrong, sometimes in meditation, think that your loved ones will not be around you also. They may go before you. Very, very, very difficult to accept that. But that is love and attachment. Attachment is very different from love, and attachment is what gives rise to shoka and moha. So Shankaracharya writes in his Shiva Parada Kshamapana Stotram. Right? A very nice shloka. In fact, Swami Brahmananda's chanting is very beautiful. If you want, you can get it on YouTube and listen to it. Ayurnashyati pasyatam pratidinam yati kshayam yauvanam pratyayanti gata punarna divasaha kalo jagad bhakshakah Lakshmi stoyataranga bhanga chapala vidyuchalam jivitam tasmat tvam sharanagatam sharanatvam Raksha Rakshaduna. A very, very beautiful set of shlokas. Oh Lord, I forgot you, thinking that money and family members will be permanent. Even though I was, and I'm seeing death, and I'm seeing the loss all around, right? I was seeing death, I am seeing death, and I'm seeing loss all around. I thought I will be a special case, and I never prepared. At least now let me have the wisdom, right? Let me hold on to you before things go away. If things don't go away anyway, I will go away. Either they go or I go. Therefore, unless we have this emotional preparation for the inevitable, it is misuse of the basically the first half of our life, right? So therefore, worrying about family members comes under Asuri Sampat. So Krishna is also saying that better get prepared, right? To face the reality, right? And unnecessarily worrying, right, is not going to help. And worrying itself is an Asuri Sampat. Very disturbing news, because we think that worry is a sign of love, and we hear that love is very great, right? So we have heard that way. And the difference between love and attachment is love will help me give but never worry, whereas attachment, whether I give or not, it will lead to anxiety. Therefore, anxiety comes under Asuri Sampat, right? So from that angle, all people, right, any of us who worry, we all come under Asura's category only. It is not that if you have a huge car or you are indulging in something which is, very big corruption or something which is Asuri Sampat. Even worrying about family members comes under materialistic thinking, right? Therefore, remember that worry is Asuri Sampat. Therefore, Asha Pasha, right? Asha Pasha means shackle, right? Which imprisons me with ahankara, mamakara prison, right? Moksha is breaking the shackles of ahankara and mamakara. And that is why ahankara and mamakara, I and mine, ego. That is why Krishna defines moksha as nirmamaha nirahankaraha. We have to remove the shackles of aham mama centric worry. That does not mean running away. Serve them, but hand over to Bhagavan, right? Ishwararpana bhavaha. Right? Let Bhagavan do the worrying. We have to do what we need to do, right? So, Asha Pasha Shataihi Baddhaha, shackled by attachment, Kama Krodha Parayanaha. It is a repetition again, right, of the previous shloka, given to desire and anger, Kama Krodha Parayanaha. Ihante Kama Bhogartam. When the desires increase, our necessity for more and more income also increases, right? And what is happening? Instead of one person working, two people working, and then that is also not enough. Then we have to make sure that we invest elsewhere, or people resort to shortcuts, etc. Right? And as Swamiji says, sometimes there is double income with no kids also, because the desires are so high, right? And the companies also keep on tempting us, the consumer marketing, etc. Right? And newer products keep coming, right? So whatever there, everything around us is actually promoting only spending, right? So while religion promotes family life, right, the materialistic side actually destroys family life. So ihante kama bhogartham, for enjoying more and more comforts, they want to work more and more, and then later they find through normal earnings it's not possible, so they take to adharmic earning also. Anyayena artha sanchayan, wrong methods of amassing wealth, right? So bound by the strings of hundreds of expectations and given to the desire and anger, they seek hoards of wealth, right, by unrighteousness means for the enjoyment of sense objects. Idamadhyamaya labdham, idamadhyamaya labdham, imam prapse manoratham, imam prapse manoratham, idamasti idamapi me, idamastidamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam. Bhavishyati punardhanam. In these two shlokas, Lord Krishna is talking about the thinking pattern of a materialistic person, because he is never satisfied with the available wealth. So the available wealth, right, and imagined wealth, there is a very, very big gap, because the target is very high, right? Even we have this problem with companies also. Ever since this quarterly reporting came in, at least I know from an India perspective, most countries in the world has this focus on quarterly earnings, etc. So it is really short-term target, and every quarter the expectation is that you improve both the top line as well as the bottom line, that is the revenue as well as the profit. So the pressure is so high because you need to keep up to the image that is being upped every time by the stock market. So people also have this pressure, and this kind of external materialistic pressure can apply a different kind of pressure on the people to perform, and they may or may not be able to operate dharmically all the time, right? So for spiritual growth, the target should be what? Sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Unfortunately, for the materialistic person, other things will take priority, right? So Krishna is now describing the thought pattern of such people. We wonder, how Krishna was able to say this, right, at that time. Idam maya labdham. I have acquired this much now, say already running to crores, and now my target is another few more 100 crores, assume. Imam manoratham prapsye. This is the target I have to hit by preferably end of this year or next year, right? I have to achieve. Manoratham means my dream target. And idam asti, this much wealth I already have. Idam dhanam bhavishyati, this much will come, right? And I will buy everyone out, right, for acquiring this target, right? Because once a person has got sufficient empire and wealth, he can control a lot of other things also. They can even change they can even influence, they call it lobbying, right? The laws to suit the industrialist, right? Because money means you're very powerful. And imagine if such a person does not have the dharmic qualities in him, right? So he keeps on planning all the time, right? And sometimes they even think of destroying competition, finishing off, right? Like what we do with the mosquito bat, finishing off mosquitoes. People even think go to such extents, right? So Krishna mentions that here, right? So this has been obtained by me today. I shall attain this desired object shortly. I have this much wealth now, and there will be this much more later, right? And they will go to any extent to do this. Asau maya hata shatruhu. Asau maya hata shatruhu. Hanishye chaparanapi. Hanishye chaparanapi. Ishwarohamaham bhogi. Ishwarohamaham bhogi. Siddhoham balavan sukhi. Siddhoham balavan sukhi. This is also within inverted commas, the thought pattern of the material person. Asau shatruhu hataha. This rival competitor has been finished off by me. There is no guilt or anything. In fact, he is happy and proudly claims also. And not only he says, I have finished off, aparanapi hanishye. The other also I will soon finish off. Right? I can do all of them. Why? Because aham ishwaraha asmi. I am the most powerful one because I can buy anybody. Everybody is in my hand. Right? Exactly like what Hiranyakashipu did. I am the God of the universe. He told Prahlada, don't chant Om Namo Narayanaya, right? I am the new God. Aham Ishwaraha Asmi, the powerful controller of the whole country. Aham Bhogi, right? I alone deserve any enjoyment anywhere that should come to me. Aham Siddha, I'm the most accomplished person. Aham Balavan, right? I'm the most powerful person. Aham Sukhi, I'm the happiest person, right? And they gloat over their immortality and their inappropriate action also, right? Then later on, Lord will say that I have made special narakas for such people, right? So we'll see that later, right? So basically, the arrogance is talked about in the second line here, right? So that is very, very important here. So there's nobody like me, right? Nobody can come near me, right? I can give donations, I can buy off companies, I can do whatever I want, right? So there's nobody who can come near me. Sarvatapi, in terms of wealth, anytime, Shankaracharya writes, right, in his note, I am Ishvara, I am the greatest. Atulyaha nasti, na kevalam manushaha, I am no ordinary human being, right? He tells that. So this is also within inverted commas. The rival has been destroyed by me. I shall destroy the others also. I am the Lord. I am the enjoyer. I am successful, powerful, and happy. Adyo Bijanavanasmi. Adyo Bijanavanasmi. Konyosti sadrisho maya. Konyosti sadrisho maya. Yakshe dasyami modishye. Yakshe dasyami modishye. Ityajnana vimohitaha. Ityajnana vimohitaha. Actually, with this modishye, the quotation stops. That is, I am this, I am that, etc. Which started in the 13th verse. It stops with modishye. Ishya jnana vimohitaha. So this is also the thought pattern of the materialistic people, violent and unethical materialistic people, and they claim aham adyaha asmi. Adyaha means dhanikaha. I am very, very rich person, and abhidhanavan asmi. I belong to a great family of great people of all Vedic scholars. I am from a Ghanapati family. I am from a Dikshita family, Jata Vallabha. My parents, my grandparents. You ask him what he knows, he may not even be doing Gayatri in the house. It's quite possible. Because if you see, some people have names Shastri, Chaturvedi, etc. Which means if you're a Chaturvedi, you should know all the 4 Vedas. Because you can't really call yourself a Chaturvedi or a Trivedi or a Shastri, a person who has studied the Shastras, right? So gradually we belong to all these paramparas, and now we don't even have time to do our Nitya Naimittika karma, right? Swashatha's Veda Parayana was compulsory as per the scriptures. It is still compulsory, right? So gradually all this has gone off, and anything, whether it is Guna Brahmana or Jati Brahmana, Jati Kshatriya, whatever had to be done, that's all gone. But if we want to pursue a spiritual journey as a Guna Brahmana, minimum certain things have to be done, right? So Sandhya Vandanam is absolutely important, right? So Jati wise, they all claim, right, that we belong to a great family, Abhijanavan, meaning belonging to a great family. Kaha anyaha asti sadrusho maya. Who is there in this world who is as great as me, right? The greatness should be reflected in the form of humility, but instead it is an embodiment of arrogance. Who is there equal to me? Exactly like Hiranyakashipu or Ravana. Konyosti sadrisho maya, right? And sometimes yakshe, they do perform great rituals and yaga, right, at home or in temple, right? They even do rituals. And for what they do? For the sake of name and fame. So yakshe, I shall do yaga, and dasyami will do charity, but only for the sake of name and fame. My name should appear in the appropriate place, in the front page in the newspaper, or the chair should be reserved for me because I'm a sponsor, right? And I should also walk in 15 minutes after the program starts. You see that with so many sponsors, they will never come in early. I just can't understand why, but that is how it is always there. Hardly 1% of the time you will see them coming and sitting before and talking to people and understanding what is happening, right? So dasyami, I will do charity, but with an ulterior motive. Modishye, right? And when everybody praises me in public functions, I enjoy, I rejoice. Modishye iti ajnana vimohitaha. These are the people who are totally deluded by ignorance. So everything up to this is a quotation by the deluded people, right? So it is the words of the Asuraha from Idamadhya Mayalabdam Imam Prapse Manoratham all the way up to Yakshe Dasyami Modishye, right? Modishye iti Ajnana Vimohitaha, right? Continuing. Aneka chitta vibrantaha, Aneka chitta vibrantaha, Mohajala samavritaha, Mohajala samavritaha, Prasakta kama bhogeshu, Prasakta kama bhogeshu, Patanti narakeshu cho, Patanti narakeshu cho. So their wrong philosophy and their attachment to Artha Kama will lead to a variety of worries in the mind. So Aneka Chitta Vibrantaha, because of the varieties of stressful thoughts, right? They are Vibrantaha, they are deluded and confused because all the time they have to plot and their mind is always thinking of how to manipulate. It's exactly like the chess game, right? So all the time the mind is preoccupied. Therefore, Aneka Chitta Vibrantaha, Moha Jala Samavritaha, surrounded by a network of delusions, not knowing the limitations of Artha and Kama. So that's why Shankaracharya wrote, right? Bhaja Govindam, right? We should all read at least once. And in fact, Swamiji has a very nice recording on that. So, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte, Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati, Dukrin Karane. All the activities will not help you. All the money will not help you. Even people may not be there to help you in the old age. The only lasting and reliable support is Bhagavan. And if I have to depend on Bhagavan in the old age, then the preparation must start right now. Right? We've got all forms of insurance, but there is no emotional insurance, as Swamiji puts it, right? So there is no other solution for old age worry, etc. Only it has to be handled by bhakti or jnanam, right? Bhakti is depending on God, right? And who is other than myself, right? So that is bhakti. Jnanam is depending on a God who is understood as what? My own nature. So in both it is God dependence. In one God is outside and in this other God, God is inside me, the self. So we say God dependence to self dependence, right? So if we don't have time to do it in a younger age, then this is going to be a problem later on. And this is delusion. Mohajala samavritaha prasaktaha kamabhogeshu. Kamabhogeshu means sense pleasures, right? They are prasaktaha. Till old age, they are lost in that. Exactly like what Shiva Parada Kshamapana Stotram says. Very nice slokam. Please go through it. Ashuchau narake patanti. Their later life is going to be hellish because whatever I depend upon is perishable and they can't give me support, right? And life is going to be narakam here itself because of all the violence that, we have done or all the akramams that we have been indulging in. And it will also impact the next janma. That is also going to be hellish only. Therefore, narake patanti ashuchau. Ashuchihi means dukkha bakulam, which is full of varieties of pain, painful narakam, right? So, in fact, Shankaracharya names this narakam Vaitaranyam. I actually thought Vaitarani was a river, but from Bhashyam we come to know that the name of a naraka is also Vaitarani. At least previously, because of doing Pitru Yajna, etc., the family unity was there, right? So we could depend on some people within the family. Even now that is also going away slowly, right? So in the old age, we may have nobody around us except maybe a good senior citizen home which can support us, right? But we may not have people next to us to talk to whom we call as our own family, etc. Right? So we have to lean on Bhagavan, who is the external self, or the internal self, which is the Atma, the higher nature of us, right? So therefore, practice now itself. Shankara says, Mooda Mate. Shankaracharya says in Bhajagovindam, right? Oh, deluded one, right? So, Aneka Chitta Vibrantaha, Mohajala Samavritaha, Kamavogeshu Prasaktaha, Ashuchau Narake Patanti, right? So they fall into the Naraka, the foul hell. आत्मसम्भावितास्तब्धाः आत्मसम्भावितास्तब्धाः धनमानमदान्विताः धनमानमदान्विताः यजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते यजन्ते नाम यज्ञैस्ते दम्भेन विधिपूर्वकम्. Right from our young age, in our tradition, our parents teach us to sing, and chant stotras, which is the glorification of Ishvara. Ishvara Stuti is our practice, right? But materialistic people don't have time for that also. They do another kind of Stuti, Stotram. Atma Sambhavitaha Stabdaha. They always publicize their own accomplishments everywhere. So Dayananda Swami says, in fact, if there is a person, maybe he's come across so many people like that. That's why Pujya Swamiji has said that. He says, if there is a self-made man, right, they constantly talk about how they studied under the street light, how they, walked several kilometers to the school, right, and there was no light, etc. It's a tendency that we all have, because, our children may have more comforts. We tend to speak about this. But what the Pujya Swamiji is observing here is the self-made man seems to have more arrogance because of this reason, right? So this arrogance can be counterproductive. Therefore, Atma Sambhavitaha means they glorify themselves, right? And by themselves, and Stabdaha, they're an embodiment of arrogance because of Dhanamana Madanvitaha, arrogance because of their wealth. And Manam is at the mental level, superiority complex, and Mada is arrogance expressed in the body language or the physical level. So expressed superiority complex and mentally thought superiority complex. Expression is in the form of the physical way, right? That is Mada. Manam is at the mental level. Both of them are there in them. And Yajante Nama Yajnaiste. In the 15th shloka, Lord Krishna said, they say they will do Yakshe, Dasyami, right? I will perform Yaga, etc. And Krishna called it Asuri Sampat because it was all only Nama Yajnehi Yajante, namesake puja, right? So Nama Yajnehi, even wedding and everything, they will do with so much of pomp because they want to show off, right? They will have 30 items for food, etc. So this is strongly discouraged for people who are on a spiritual journey, right? So Nama Yajnehi Yajante Dambhena, with pomp and show, and Avidhi Purvakam. And when they perform such rituals, they never care for the most important thing in a yaga. Most important thing is proper dakshina, right? And it should be done as appropriately as per the Veda, right? And the priest must be given importance, right? And not tell finish quickly. You see so many yagas, so many rituals. We see the grihastha telling the priest to finish up quickly, right? Because the importance is given more to the videography and people coming and meeting, etc. Right? That is what is happening today in the materialistic world, right? So the most important thing, the rules of the yaga are totally violated. He becomes the stingiest person when it comes to the dakshina, right? And claims that, oh, my grandfather used to give only this much, or my father used to give only this much, right? So in line with the times, we are supposed to increase the dakshina, right? Avidhi purvakam, By violating all rules, he performs such rituals. Ahamkaram balam darpam, ahamkaram balam darpam, kamam krodam cha samshritaah, kamam krodam cha samshritaah, mamatma paradeheshu, mamatma paradeheshu, pradvishantobhyasuyakaah, pradvishantobhyasuyakaah. So here again ahankara, the repetition for emphasis, all these negative tendencies they preserve. Ahankara, ego all the time, it's being status conscious. Balam, very particular about the power they have. They always want to have that one-upmanship. So balam is power, darpam is arrogance, right? Not respecting the respectable ones. Starting from elders, right? Parents, mahatmanaha, saints, sannyasinaha, right? And those people who are learned in the Veda, he never respects any one of them. That is called darpam. And kamam, inappropriate desires, krodam, resorting to violence, verbal violence, all of them samshritaha. He has got an abundance, right? And not only that, mam pradvishantaha, they treat as their enemies. Mam means Ishwaram. Krishna uses the word mam because they become haters of mine, because I have given instructions in moral values, and so they become haters of Bhagavan, right? So that's why he uses mam here. They hate means they don't care for Bhagavan. A Bhagavan who is residing within themselves and in others also. They have no values, no respect for Bhagavan, no respect for Shastram, right? So they mock. You can see there are a lot of parties who don't have any belief in God. And not only that, not having belief is fine if we are, kind of agnostic and stay away. But they constantly mock at people who have these values, who go to the temple, etc., right? And who perform puja, who are fasting, etc., right? So mockery of all these things, right? So they are called abhyasuyakaha, means criticizers, right? Continuing, you wonder how Krishna knew about all this so many centuries back or years, thousands of years back. Tanaham dvishata kruran, tanaham dvishata kruran, samsareshu naradhaman, samsareshu naradhaman, shipam yajasrama shubhan, shipam yajasrama shubhan, asurishveva yonishu, asurishveva yonishu. Since these materialistic people have done a lot of violence in their journey, right? And a lot of adharma, violation of values, they have acquired so much papam within a limited period itself, right? Like doing OT, overtime, right? So normally to accumulate papam, it may take a lot of janmas, maybe 3 janmas, 4 janmas. Here, he has managed to acquire everything in 1 janma, right? Therefore, Tan, such adharmic people, Kruran, who are the cruelest ones, destroying all others, and Samsareshu Naradhaman. They're the worst type of human being because animals can only destroy limited number of other animals. But once a human being becomes adharmic, then the number of people he can destroy is too many. Naradhaman means they're worse than even animals. The worst among human beings. Samsareshu aham shipami. Shipami, throw. I will throw them into samsara, into narakam. Narakam means any life which is full of sufferings. And remember, when we see extraordinary sufferings in the world, we have to remember that it may not be because of the wrongdoings done in the current janma. We need to connect it with the wrongs done in the past janma, right? And seeing them, we have to learn the lesson. Even if I escape from police and law, now I will have to pay the price later. Whether I remember or not is not the question, but I have to pay the price. Therefore, Bhagavan says, I will throw them into hell. And not only that, Lord Krishna warns, saying that it is going to become a vicious cycle because of their adharmic activities and violent thoughts. They have developed the samskara or the vasana of the adharmic thinking, and it has become a habit, and that papa vasana is generated, and they begin to work themselves. And therefore, after going to Narakam, if they are again reborn as human beings in spite of human birth, the papa vasana will continue in that janma also. Therefore, the tendency from a very young age will be to hurt others, steal, have sadistic pleasure. That will start very early. Purva vasana. Therefore, because of the violence, right, again and again they will be thrown into Narakam, right? So it's very difficult to break out of that, like an addict or a drug addict, right? Because of the vasana that has overpowered the free will. Any habit initially is feeble, right? Like the cigarette smokers, right? When they start smoking, it is very feeble, but when they at a particular stage, it completely takes over, right? And then the human being has no power to say no after that, right? The willpower is completely clouded. So my intellect loses the power, right? So first time I have immense power to say no, but gradually the power goes down. Therefore, Shastra warns, always retain your willpower to say no. Never lose your willpower to say no when you want to say. And these Asuri people have reached a stage where the will has become weaker, right? So Krishna seems to frighten us only with a good intention. And the intention is what? It's a statutory warning. He says, Ashubhan, these immoral people, unethical people, aham shipami samsareshu, into the samsara I throw them, asurishveva yonishu, in such human birth where the asuric tendencies will continue. Continuing, asurim yonimapannaha, asurim yonimapannaha, muda janmani janmani, muda janmani janmani, mama prapyeva kaunteya, mama prapyeva kaunteya, tato yantyadhamam gatim, tato yantyadhamam gatim. This portion, if you see the Shankara Bhashyam, the amount of commentary Shankaracharya has written is also very less as compared to, say, the 16th verse of the 18th chapter, which is Sarvadharman Parityajya, where Shankaracharya's Bhashyam runs into almost 60 pages or 70 pages or something. It's very, very long, right? So I don't remember the exact number of pages, but I remember that Swamiji took almost 50-60 classes on just one verse. So that is why I am also going fast, because I think Krishna also knows that people who read the Gita rarely will fall into this category, right? So it's more for awareness. So because of this vicious cycle, several human janmas have got wasted, janmani. So asurim yonim apannaha. Because of some punyam, they do get a human birth now and then. But even if they are born a human being, they are not attracted towards dharma, moksha, scriptures, Bhagavan, sadhu, etc. Right? So asurim yoni janmani, janmani. In several janmas, these unfortunate, deluded people, mam aprapyaiva eva. They never come to me. And Shankaracharya says, not only they don't come to me, they don't have interest in coming to my teaching also, right? Like Bhagavad Gita, Mam Aprapya means Ishwaram Aprapya, not having reached God, right? Ishwara Margam api Aprapya, they don't come to this path at all. Tato Yanti Adhamam Gatim, they will fall more and more, right? So they can escape from this vicious cycle only when some old punyam, right, comes, right? It's quite possible that some next birth sometime this fructifies and you become, some punyam materializes, and then you get a chance. Like we read the stories of Valmiki, right, who himself was a robber, right? And then suddenly, because of some punyam, the whole thing turns, right? So that is why it is said that if you are in a human janma, try and influence the at least the birth of another, human, the availability of another human janma. Do punyam at least to that extent to get a human janma, right? Then only we can know. So when the punyam fructifies, right, then this gap will come down and then people will start at least getting some amount of interest in Gita, etc. And then they will get exposed, study and understand, right? Otherwise, mama aprapyaiva kaunteya tata yanti adamam gatim, right? So therefore, Krishna is giving a frightening warning, right? That he will fall into the ditch of animalistic life with a human physical body. So Arjuna, be careful. Trividam narakasyedam, Trividham narakasyedam, Dvaram nashanamaatmanah, Dvaram nashanamaatmanah, Kamakrodastatha lobah, Kamakrodastatha lobah, Tasmade tatrayam tyajet, Tasmade tatrayam tyajet. So Krishna elaborately talked about Asuri Sampat, unhealthy tendencies, in several verses from the 7th verse up to the 20th verse. 14 verses he has elaborately discussed, right? So sometimes when there is too much of talking, we may have missed the central message, right? So Krishna wants to convey this message in one concentrated shloka. So Krishna says there are 3 unhealthy trends in human beings which are gateways to hell or narakam. Certainly it will not promote spiritual growth. Narakasya atmanaha nashanam trividam. There are 3 gateways which will lead a person to hell or samsara, right? So atmanaha nashanam, one's own self-destruction, right? So many people who abuse their free will, right, and get into various addiction, they say it is because of prarabdham, right? Krishna says no. Blaming the fate and prarabdham is abuse of free will and then saying that. And Krishna says you create your own narakam by promoting these trends, right? So what are the three different trends that Krishna is speaking about? Kamaha, Krodhaha and Lobhaha. Desire, anger and stinginess, non-giving, greed, right? Not sharing one's resources with others. That's called Lobhaha. All 3 are spiritually unhealthy. So Krishna has explained this in several occasions. He's just putting it into one shloka now to remind us. Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhavaha, Mahashano mahapapma videvaiha vairinam. So Krishna talked about the problem of desire and anger in the 3rd chapter, right? So it is nice to recollect and Krishna is recollecting here, right? So also Swamiji uses an acronym called ABCD basically, right? He says appropriate desires, balanced desires, right? And clean desires. He says have desires, but have appropriate desires, balanced desires, and clean desires, right? So we'll see more about this in the next class. Maybe I will complete the rest of the verses and a brief summary in the next class. Okay? So we'll stop here. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, I see some questions here. Some people cite attachment to family for unethical things that they do, like taking dowry, going back on their word, etc. All of these are Asuri Sampat only. So for a spiritual journey, any of these Asuri Sampat are going to be obstacles. They will be obstacles either in Shravanam, Mananam or Nididhyasanam. Even if you get past Shravanam and Mananam because of a great intellect, you will get stuck in Nididhyasam. If not, there will be problem even in Mananam because of the mind being Tarka Pradhana. He may not be able to understand the essence of the teaching. Any other questions? Okay, nobody has raised the hand and there is just one question. Okay. So we will meet in the next week, same time. Okay. There is one question here. Just give two seconds for them to type out. You want to speak up, Vasudeva Mahodaya? I can. Oh, Management Institute teachings. Okay. I can't see the rest of the question. That's the problem. So maybe in the next class you can write it out. Thank you. Then we will meet next Sunday. Hari Om.